listen to the rhythm of the rhyming in your system, cause tonight you're gonna get 'em with a simple sleight of hand. Easy on the breath and now
Hey
take your
YouTube,
first step now.
Zachary Fennell, freelance writer and author of Off Balance here. Thanks for joining me for my first cyber reading and Q&A. Off Balance is my teenage memoir exploring how growing up with a mild case of cerebral palsy affected me socially as an adolescent. Today I will be sharing a selection from Chapter 4, My First Crush. Following the reading will be the social media generated Q&A. Chapter 4, My First Crush. Donna Williams. Donna Williams served as the heat source which began melting my ice-cold emotional exterior. Ironically, Donna was one of my biology classmates, the class which represents all the reasons I look down upon my fellow teens. Still, Donna's long light blonde hair, enticing hazel eyes, pearly white smile, and well-shaped backside proved my social kryptonite. She sat all the way on the opposite side of the room, but her beauty captured my attention the way a thief captures loot from a safe. My interest in Donna soon turned to attraction when she started paying attention to me. A couple of months into the school year, I became a part of Donna's daily routine. Every day, her boyfriend walked her to the classroom. Before parting ways with her male companion, she pressed her tender lips against his for a goodbye kiss. As she entered the classroom, she passed me by, and although I kept my eyes on my desk to avoid interaction with others, she gently tapped me on the shoulder and playfully asked, "Is he here today?" The he she referred to was our teacher, Mr. Crawford. Due to serious personal issues, Mr. Crawford missed more classes than your normal teacher. Donna's facial muscles tightened slightly as she hoped for a no so she could rejoice in having a substitute. The simple act of touching my arm and asking a question meant a lot to me because I commonly felt invisible to my peers. Grant you, I can't blame my peers for ignoring me, since I gave off a leave me alone vibe. The fact Donna overlooked this attitude created a special place inside my heart for her. She was attractive and paid a minuscule amount of attention to me. Yes, I had high standards. My initial attraction to Donna only lasted a few months though, as one day she easily managed to turn my admiration for her into aggravation. At the start of class, Mr. Crawford announced we would go to the library to research our mammal projects. Everyone in the class received a different mammal to write a report and create a presentation on. As we headed across the building to the library, I naturally ended up at the rear of our student mass due to my slow speed. Entering the library, I saw all my classmates settling in at different tables with their friends. I awkwardly looked around for a place to sit when I saw an empty chair over at the table where Donna sat. Donna gave me a not so amusing glare as I went to place my backpack, which I carried around throughout the day in order to keep my hands free, on the ground and lean my cane against the table. "There are some chairs over there," Donna said with no pleasantries in her voice while pointing to an empty table. I quickly filled with aggravation as I thought, and why can't I sit here? Although I felt irritated, I dared not to speak my mind. After all, that takes self-confidence. Rather, I quietly responded, "Oh, okay," before moving to the table she pointed to. As I researched, I kept thinking about Donna's reaction. It irked me to the point where I didn't want anything to do with her anymore. 6 months later, on the first day of school sophomore year, I found myself sitting in an empty classroom, my green backpack on the floor next to me, as the bell rang. Yes, a year later, I still received early dismissal from classes, so I didn't have to face the tremendous dangers an ordinary teenager-filled high school hallway presents. Actually, despite a summer filled with much progress in regards to building leg strength, many of the same accommodations from freshman year followed me to my second year. In addition to still carrying my backpack around and receiving early dismissal from classes, I continued to use the elevator to travel between floors and attend school for a shortened day. I now started my day like everyone else with homeroom and a first period class, but my day still ended a period early. A major accomplishment from building my leg strength back up involved shedding the need to use my cane. Zach, have you given thought to using the cane for school this year? Mom asked with a week left before the academic year began. I'm not going to. Over the summer, I progressed from only using the cane when I went somewhere requiring a lot of walking, like the mall or an Indians game, to not using the cane at all. But Zach, Mom began, getting set to argue her case for why I should still use the cane at least for school. She and Dad wished for me to continue using the cane, and they felt the support the mobility device offered would help preserve my safety throughout my 6-hour school day. No, I boldly interrupted with a rare glimpse of self-assurance. I wasn't going to let this conversation turn into a debate the way ascending and descending stairs did when I entered junior high. I don't need the cane anymore. My leg strength and endurance improved because during the summer I spent the majority of my mornings in the park walking with my mother. In general, spending mornings walking with your mom isn't exactly the ideal way teenagers want to start the day. Heck, my 2.5-year-old brother Bill tended to walk 10 feet ahead of the family anytime we went somewhere public. We didn't mean the slights as personal insults, but when you factor the age gap with the caring parent, independent-seeking teen roles, things don't compute too well. At least keep the cane in your locker, my mother responded, conceding to my stubbornness while hoping for a compromise. That way it is there just in case. I can do that, I said, agreeing to the compromise while thinking, yeah, that cane will never leave my locker, which it never did. Back to the point. Sitting in the empty classroom waiting for my new classmates to file in the first day of school, I probably should have rejoiced and letting the cane collect dust in my locker. Instead, I held disdain for all the accommodations I still had. Curiosity momentarily distracted the disdain when my peers began to enter the room. Slightly interested in who was in my Algebra 2 class, I turned to face the door. I experienced a small amount of distaste when Donna was one of the first people to walk in. "Hey, how are you?" she said, the way you might greet an out-of-state cousin you haven't seen in a while. When she saw me, to my surprise, she grabbed a seat close in proximity to me. Good," I answered, baffled. The situation confused me. This girl, 6 months earlier, instantly rejected me when I simply want to sit at the same table as her. Now she acts nice. What gives? "How was your summer?" she asked. "Fine," I responded, while internally debating if I should act nice back or stingy and hold a grudge. I could definitely hold a grudge. I possessed the ability to keep an upsetting thought in my mind and remain sour about it. Yet, as a teen with very little self-esteem, Donna's attractiveness persuasively led me to forgive the past incident. Good thing, too. Fate landed us with assigned seats next to each other, and Donna made small talk with me semi-regularly. To her, I'm sure the conversations were nothing but polite dialogue and a way to pass time before class started. For me, however, the chatting relaunched my admiration for her into new levels. The chorus to Saliva's single always goes, "I love you, I hate you, I can't get around you. I breathe you, I taste you, I can't live without you." Those words proved a slight exaggeration to how I felt about Donna. With a severely lacking social life, my in-school interactions with Donna heavily influenced my day. On days where Donna walked into the classroom and simply said, "Hi," I experienced joy equivalent to when your teacher gives no homework. However, days when Donna proved too busy to pay me any attention hurt as much as breaking a ligament. Yet, on days where Donna and I held together in actual conversation, I felt as overjoyed as when finding a forgotten $20 bill in your pants pocket. Looking back, I find my fixation on Donna rather ridiculous. Still, I can't deny the logic behind my crush. In my teenage hormone-driven, self-esteem depleted mind, having an attractive girl pay a tiny amount of attention to me excited me like imagining the Cleveland Indians winning the World Series. That would be nice, right, Cleveland? My fascination for Donna soon turned into motivation for freeing myself from the shackles that were my school accommodations. I figured if I could live a more normal high school life, perhaps I could garner additional attention from Donna. Therefore, I selectively started staying in some of my classes the whole period. When I needed to go up or down from the second floor, I still gave myself a few minutes head start, but used the stairs instead of the elevator. Naturally, I didn't tell my parents about my slow elimination of special accommodations because I knew they would fear for my safety while proving inept to understanding my perspective. In fairness, taking a trip back in time, I can see my actions do seem rather silly. After all, no one knew I started using the stairs instead of the elevator because the stairwell was empty. Plus, out of my peers, who would have really cared? It isn't like I hung out with a posse of close confidants who tracked my recovery process from the previous year's surgery. Furthermore, my ultimate goal involved getting Donna to pay more attention to me. If successful, what would have resulted? In a perfect world, I wanted to make her my girlfriend. However, she already had a boyfriend. She split from her boyfriend/biology class escort, but she often referenced a new boy in her life. Not to mention, even if she was single, I wouldn't have had the nerve to ask her out. To ask somebody out, you have to have at least a small degree of self-satisfaction. Something I surely didn't have. I looked in the mirror and saw inadequacy stare back. I was self-conscious about wearing glasses but didn't find the idea of sticking contacts in my eyes appealing. My face featured some nerd candy sized brown beauty marks, including one on the right hand side of my nose and two around my jawline, which made me feel anything but beautiful. My teeth hosted railroad tracks in the form of orthodontic braces. I remained self-aware about having braces to the point I never flashed an open mouth smile on school picture day. I disliked my short, dirty blonde hair, which I combed forward so my bangs hung over my forehead. Secretly, I wanted hair like Saved by the Bell's Zach Morris or Boy Meets World's Sean Hunter. Despite my back surgery, I still had a hunched posture, making my small frame look even smaller. I could straighten my posture, but holding the position took a lot of effort and tired me out quickly. Moving past my appearance, even if I secured a date, I worried I couldn't fulfill the expected role of a boyfriend. At 15 and a half, I didn't drive, so there would be no "I'll pick you up at 8." My less than stellar balance provided another additional obstacle, with needing one hand free to hold onto a railing when ascending or descending steps. Going to the baseball game and grabbing food for both my hypothetical date and me would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. Going for coffee would be humiliating because I'd be too shaky to carry both my theoretical date's drink and my drink over to the table without spilling them the way I envisioned a good boyfriend would. Basically, I had lots of reasons to lack self-confidence, and I think my deficient self-esteem really showed. On a picture-perfect April-spring afternoon, we worked on group projects. I found myself sitting next to my partner across from Donna and her partner. Kind of bored as the class waited for our teacher to give some instructions, I sat staring inadvertently at Donna. Donna's hazel eyes caught my gaze, leaving her to curiously ask, "What are you looking at?" Oh shoot, I thought to myself. She caught me staring at her. What am I going to say? Fortunately, there was a window behind her with the blind open. The window gave me the ideal out. I could claim I was looking at the beautiful day outside. Or I could use the opportunity, boyfriend or no boyfriend, to drop a flirtatious line. Something like, did you know you are more beautiful than Mona Lisa? Instead, I stupidly spit it out, "You," in a dry, monotone voice. That comment had to hit pretty high up on the creepometer. Luckily, the remark didn't seem to bother Donna, who just shrugged off my answer as the teacher began to give the class directions. Donna always initiated our interactions, since the thought of being assertive with any of my peers, especially Donna, intimidated me. I proved to myself at the end of my sophomore year, though, that I wasn't a complete sap. A cliche exists: love is blind. My high school experience taught me a different lesson. Crushes breed ignorance. Despite my logic on differentiating acquaintances from friends, I considered Donna a friend. No, we didn't hang out on our own time. Thus, when the school year began to wind down, I started to panic mentally. I figured Donna, a junior, and I would be unlikely to have another class together the next year. Without class together, we would lose touch, and I couldn't have that. After all, this girl had, unknowingly to her, become a significant part of my life. As the end of the academic year continued to approach, I started to piece together a plan, set for deployment the day of our Algebra 2 final, to keep me in touch with Donna. I debated back and forth with myself about if I would actually go through with my plan. The debating ran all the way to the morning of the Algebra 2 final. My alarm clock woke me up with Metallica's Enter Sandman. The words, "Hush, you're still living," hit my ears, ending the internal debate. I knew I needed to take a chance. To learn what that chance was, make sure you pick up Off Bounds, which is currently available on the Kindle and Nook. Moving forward, time for the Q&A. Now, I didn't receive the kind of response I hoped for through social media regarding questions, so instead I've collected some questions I've encountered over the past 10 months about disabilities and publishing. The first question is a common question I receive when I tell people I'm a published author, and that is, how do you go about getting published? Honestly, my answer isn't exactly the most insightful one, but it's the best I can come up with, and that is to pick up and read Publishing and Marketing Realities for the Emerging Author by Christine Rose. There's just, the reason, that's my response is because there's just so many different options as far as publishing goes, whether you're self-publishing, or you want to go after you're going after a publishing deal. So it's just, there's a lot, and Christine does a really great job of breaking that all down in her book, and it will help you decide, okay, now what's the next step with this manuscript I have. Now, the second question I have is, I'm a freelance writer. One of the places I write for is the Mobility Resource. And we were talking, I was on the phone talking content strategy with Chris Miller, who is my contact over there. And Chris asked me an interesting question, and he wanted to get my insight with me having a disability. He wanted to know if I ever get tired of seeing disabilities portrayed as inspirational in the media. And it's a very good question, and my answer to him was, it depends on the story. If it's just about some teenager who graduated high school but has a disability, I feel like, why is that news? Why is that inspirational? That the person who did, we're supposed to graduate high school, and everyone's supposed to graduate high school basically. So, that's an expectation. So, just because someone has a disability, they shouldn't be able to do that. That is kind of lowering expectations, which is really not cool. So to me, that, stories that celebrate the ordinary as an inspirational are really kind of annoying, along with words like, phrases like cerebral palsy, sufferer, or victim. Just because you have cerebral palsy doesn't mean you have to suffer. Those terms bring up really a lot of negative, perceptions that are actually, can be misconceptions. At the same time, a story about someone who's in a wheelchair doing stand-up comedy is kind of changing the perception of what stand-up comedy is. Or per se, somebody who, uses technology to speak and they do stand-up comedy. Stories like that I really love, and I think are inspirational, because it's not celebrating the ordinary, but rather saying, there's an obstacle in your way, and here's how I solved that to do what I wanted to do. And so that is awesome, and those are the kind of stories I like to see. And one final question is also about disabilities. Jeff Prodowski asked me this back in February when he interviewed me for the Sun News. He asked me, we're talking about just that awkward stigma. You go to the mall and you see someone in a wheelchair, and if you're a parent, your kid might look at you and go, "What's wrong with him, mommy?" And you just like hush, like, "Oh, nothing," and you scurry away. And he's like, "What's the best approach to avoid that kind of event and social stigma. And I tell him it's all about the approach. It's all about making sure, don't be afraid. Now, a lot of people are afraid to bring something up with someone if they walk differently, use a cane or in a wheelchair, because it's perceived as, oh, that's rude. But in my opinion, it's ruder to be treated awkwardly or to walk away like that. And I think it's all about the approach. And as I told Jeff, it's all about the approach. It's saying, it's like going up to say, excuse me, my daughter wanted to know, or my son wanted to know, why you use it real, again, preference that with, I don't mean to be rude, but my daughter asked me about why you use a wheelchair. Do you mind if you would, do you mind sharing that? And that way you're really educating others, and it's, it's better for everyone. It's better for everyone if you make that approach and just be polite about it, and just, don't be rude. Don't go, why do you walk like that? Or, why are you in a wheelchair? Be like, just be polite. And to me, I think, those approaches and being able to do that will go a long way in creating a more inclusive society. Well, okay, and that's it for today. If you do have a question for me about whether it's publishing or my opinions on disabilities or whatnot, I still welcome you to find me on social media, which my social media will occur on this next page.
To the rhythm of the rhyming in your system, cause tonight you're gonna get 'em with a simple sleight of hand. Easy on the breath and now take your first step. Now here comes a pity, now he does the best he can. They'll be singing, where on earth did you come from, son?